One more thing about the selling and because selling versus not selling, because you have a way bigger sample size. A, do you regret selling your companies? And B, the thing about selling, like, let's say that you sell a business and you make 30 million, you pay taxes, now you're left with 20. To make 20 million, like you could build a business for 5 or 10 years, sell it, and make that. To make 20 million to make 20 million from cash flow, annual cash, and that's really freaking hard. Like you gotta, I mean, your taxes are higher because it's income versus capital gains. But, and then it's just like, it just seems like selling a business is probably the easier of the two, and it's still not easier. It's still not easy. It's the easier of the two to accumulate like your first bit. Would you agree with that or no?
Well, it's the problem is that it's better to think of it as a shift in risk, because when you made the decision to sell for 30 million, the example you just gave, what you've done is you've taken a lot of risk on the table. So the chance of losing that 30 million now goes down radically. It's much less once you've turned it into cash. But the chance of getting to 60 million might have gone down also because you lost the engine of growth. So it's, do you want to sleep well or do you want to eat well? Are you long-term greedy or short-term greedy? But there's no question that when you sell your business, in my opinion, more often than not, it's not number dependent, it's risk dependent. You want to take risk off the table. You don't want to have the risk, just as you said, of losing your business anymore. So you can take your chips off the table and diversify it over a number of investments. But it's going to be much harder if the business was a well-functioning, growing business to get to that. You've increased the hurdle rate before you can get to that next level of 60 or 80 or $100 million.
Do you regret selling your two things? And Tiger? Or sorry, you didn't sell it.
First of all, I'm still the chairman and majority owner of Tiger, but it's run as if I'm 50-50 partners. And Tiger would be a great example. I'm 66, and when I sold Tiger, the risk that I was most concerned about, because I'm a cancer survivor, is longevity and sustainability if something happened to me. So our board said I was the number one risk. And because I love this business, I said, well, how do I reduce that risk? Well, the first thing is I bring in a co-owner, and the second is we bring in a world-class CEO. And in order to bring in that world-class CEO, I needed to bring in a co-owner. So Tiger is immeasurably stronger today from a team point of view and an ownership and a resilience point of view. It is still my legacy. I'm the founder. It was my idea, but I never went into it for money, and I'm not sure that I would have done any better on my own. I think the diversity of ownership and the addition of a team that we built into a world-class team is just dramatically different than I could have created on my own. So I have no regrets whatsoever with Tiger. And with the other businesses, it was interesting. I sold my first project that I mentioned to you when I was 30. And
what did you sell? Can you say what you sold it for, so we have context?
I mean, it was a project that I was a partner in, but the project got sold for over $100 million, and that was in 1987.
So that was pretty life-changing, I'd imagine.
Totally life-changing. But the point is that what I remember is not so much the dollar amount. What I remember is it was heralded as the most successful real estate project in metropolitan history in terms of financial return. And but it took me a couple of years to kind of find myself again, because I went from being one of the top 100 developers in the country. I also had the advantage. I had a partner. The project was my idea, but selling was his idea. And he never would have got into that project if he hadn't been my partner. And I never would have sold it if I hadn't been his partner. And we sold at the end, at that point, 100%, 99% of what we were worth was tied up in that project. And if somebody had got hurt or killed in construction, it could have wiped us out. And so we sold and we closed in January of 87. And in October 87, the market crashed. And real estate followed after that. And we had been one of the top 100 developers. And we might have been one of 5 developers in the whole country that had lots of capital and no buildings to weigh us down with the problems from the market crash. So that gave us an extraordinary opportunity to get back in at the bottom. And I did that by creating a company that bought distressed real estate from banks and went on to buy close to $1 billion, what became $1 billion of assets.